introducing New York to the new year, in a sense. It's going to be right after the beginning of the year. So, so good that there aren't any problems left. There's hardly anything to talk about because the world's in such great shape.
Isn't it wonderful?
Isn't it, though? It's really great. And welcome. Lenni Brenner's the guest. Lenni Brenner's been a guest about 18 times on this series and in other aspects in public access. A true scholar and a public intellectual. He's written very, very vociferously on a lot of subjects, including Middle East, Israel, Zionism in the age of the dictators, and also writes on First Amendment issues, Jefferson and Madison. We're going to be talking about that. And Lenni, here as we contemplate on this 29th of December, the bombing of Gaza and so forth. We can talk about that. But welcome. It's so good to see you again.
Always good to see you.
It is good. Always good to see you. So what do you make of the world now as we look out on it, as we begin to transit to 2009?
Well, it's a disaster and it's going to get worse. All right. Number one, you have the economy, which is in a tailspin worldwide. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
See, I read all kinds of publications.
I know you do.
London Financial Times, Jewish publications, Christian publications, Islamic publications, etc. They're all talking about the world economy.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, they can't all be talking nonsense. Okay. Toys, the sale of toys is down. The price of this is up, and on and on. Right? That's number one. Number two, we're talking now. The last news I heard today was that there were over 300 dead in Gaza.
Yeah.
All right, and that one of the television stations flashed a editorial from Haaretz, the leading Israeli newspaper, very prestigious, and legitimately so.
Their New York Times?
Their equivalent, well, better than the Times.
Better than the Times?
Yeah, for Israeli politics.
Okay.
But the point is, they said, hey, we are acting like the neighborhood bully. We are committing crimes.
They got that right.
Well, I mean,
and in the minds of much of the world.
Let me put it this way: whether they got it right or not, I'm saying they said it.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
That's
okay,
the important.
Right.
You get my point. It's an objective fact.
Right.
And the UN has condemned, etc. Now, I haven't heard any cheers for Hamas tossing rockets at Israel, but on the other hand, the feeling of the world public opinion is that the Israelis are overreacting and causing, number one, greater problems both for the Palestinians and for justice and peace, and number two, that they're not going to solve their problem.
Those rockets they're lobbing into Israel are almost like firecrackers.
Well, no. I mean, they kill. Those are rockets. Okay. I mean, but what I'm trying to get at is that the Israelis don't seem to quite understand. You see, their theory. Everybody's theorizing about their theory, but they say, look, hey. We got to, teach these people that there's a consequence to tossing the rockets, because if there is no consequence, they will continue to toss rockets. Okay, that's where their heads are at. I mean, this is the Israeli line, all right? The problem with this is that what it has done is that it has produced an enormous pro-Hamas sentiment all over the Arab world, the Muslim world, and
the whole wide world,
the broader wide world.
Yeah.
All right. So it isn't solving the problem. Now, and in fact, what it does is automatically, since we live in the United States, the American media automatically said, okay, what does Bush say about it, and what does Obama have to say about it? All right. So, of course, Bush took the line, it's all Hamas's fault.
Yeah, right.
All right. Hey, okay, wonderful. So then everybody immediately zips in, our Honolulu correspondent, what do you got to say? All right. And what Obama's staff...
Axelrod, yeah.
Yeah, Axelrod in particular, but others, is we only have one president at a time.
Right.
So what Bush says stands for the United States. I don't say nothing, all right? The only problem with that is that that's a deafening silence while Bush is saying it's all Hamas's fault, while everybody else is saying It's all Israel's fault.
Do you think it's possible Obama will accept that line?
Let me put it this way.
From what he said
I
and so
would
forth?
say that Tony Resko and Rod Blagojevich's buddy will do something honest and intelligent if he is forced to do it. At the point, if the world grabs him by the throat and says, you must say something intelligent, he will do so. But left to his own devices, he is a great statesman from the land of Abraham Lincoln, Al Capone, Blagojevich, and Resko. You get
Resko, I see.
You get my point.
Like the four Marx brothers.
Yes,
yeah.
all right?
Yeah, but
Let me put it this way.
In view of the thing, if I may, Lenny, in view of the things that he said when he went over there, spoke before AIPAC and so forth, and made those statements.
He went to
Israel. Where do you think he stands in terms of the larger issue of the, his attitude is likely to be toward Israel or the Middle East?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because he specifically went to Sderot, which is the town that is most rocketed by Hamas, and said, "Listen, if someone was rocketing the town where my little daughter lived, you bet I'd be tossing rockets the other way." Now, the thing is, the reason this is fresh in my memory is that the New York Times quoted what he said then today.
Okay, yeah.
Because...
Is that the speech before AIPAC?
No, that's the speech that he went to Israel.
Hadn't he made a speech
to the town that was being rocketed.
Okay, help me out here. When was that done? And how did it relate chronologically to the speech that he gave before AIPAC during the campaign?
Oh, I can't answer which one came first. It doesn't matter. The point is that this is literally the speech he made on the spot in Israel. In other words, he didn't go to Israel and gave a talk, maybe he talked in 3 or 4 places, but the one he went to was Sderot, the town that was being rocketed by Hamas.
As I cast back on it, it seems to me he made a statement about undivided Jerusalem and things like that he had to back off from in later statements. He made that statement before AIPAC got great cheers.
Yeah.
And all of that, and then he had to back off somewhat from it to leave room for negotiating.
Yes, I'm saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, if people grab him by the throat, look, if I grabbed you by the necktie and dragged you around the room, I would expect a reasonable answer from you. So if the public grabs him by the throat, Obama is capable of a reasonable answer. Okay, but left to his own desires, he would prefer to give a demagogic answer that pleases his supporters.
Well, he was running for office.
Well, he's running for president of the United States.
He's not running for president
of
the United States.
No, you don't get it.
In I'm trying to get it.
He wants to get a program passed through Congress, okay?
Yeah.
Congress is overwhelmingly pro-Zionist.
Yeah, AIPAC.
Well, look, I'm saying, look, man, the Democratic Party is as crooked as a dog's hind leg.
You wrote a book about that, didn't you?
I'm telling you, literally, the thing that shocked me when I wrote the book, I wrote a book called The Lesser Evil.
The Democratic Party.
It's a study of the Democratic Party, and I called it The Lesser Evil because I don't know an adult Democrat who says, I believe in the Democratic Party. I mean, like, I believe in Jesus or something like that. They believe in it like, look, it's crooked, but it's my crooks. That's their crooks. These are my crooks. Okay. So, but actually what I discovered, the way I write a book, I guess a lot of people do it the same way, I hope.
You write beautifully.
Wait.
No, I want to let the crowd know
Thank you very much. Flattery will get you somewhere. So I take bribes.
No,
I'm the only one in politics who says, I proudly take bribes.
No.
But at any rate, what I'm saying is this, that when I was doing the book, I was reading papers from different parts of the country to put together what was going on in the Democratic Party around the country. And the file that grew the fastest was the corruption file, okay? And one of my lecture jokes is that when the American Sociologists Association meets, the entertainment event, because you always have a little entertainment at these kind of conventions, is the fist fight between the guys who say that the Democratic Party of Illinois is the most corrupt Party in America, and the guys who say, no, New Jersey Democratic Party is much more crooked.
Right.
Even though Obama, I'm arguing against Obama, who's an honest Illinois Democrat, meaning he has not yet been indicted.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I argue New Jersey is more corrupt than Illinois.
Yeah,
I think so too. But hey,
right,
there are those who favor. All right.
But they're running for the Olympics, you know. Yeah, they want the Olympic title.
Yeah, right. But what I'm getting at is that all right. Let's take a big generality.
Okay.
Right? The one thing that happens in politics again and again and again is degeneration of politics. In other words, the Democratic Party was set up by Tom Jefferson and James Madison. You couldn't do better than that.
You want to show your book now?
Okay. Jefferson and Madison.
Hold it up. Let me hold it. Let me hold it, Lenny.
All right.
You just keep talking.
Jefferson and Madison on separation of church and state.
Yeah,
right?
that's a great book.
Now, we're talking about two of the leading thinkers of their day. They did their best. They had their limitations of their day and age, et cetera, et cetera. But hey, two of them. Let me put it this way: if you read every word of Jefferson and Madison, I say you haven't read enough Jefferson and Madison. You get my point?
Yeah,
right?
I do.
Okay. But the party of Jefferson and Madison became the party of Jefferson Davis.
Right.
Became the party of Tammany Hall. Became the party of Kennedy, the cockroach who wiretapped Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Okay? Became the party of Roosevelt, the cockroach who put all the innocent Japanese infants.
Pendergast?
Infants into concentration camps.
Yeah.
Infants. Babies in arms. All right. And then you have the Republican Party, which is called the Republican Party. See, the Democratic Party was originally called the Republican Party, and then it became the Democratic Republican Party, and then it became the Democratic Party. This is literally how it went on.
There were some Whigs in there?
No, that's a separate party.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
When the Northern capitalists got serious about trying to do something about slavery, they called themselves the Republican Party as to pick up the name of the original wonderful things that Jefferson and Madison stood for. All right. Well, the party of Thomas Jefferson and Madison decayed. The party of Lincoln is now the party of George Bush and McCain. All right. You have Marx and Engels, okay, and they become Pol Pot and whoever you want.
Pol Pot's a pretty
you get my point.
Yeah,
in other words, that all of these ideologies all start off wonderful and they all degenerate.
Oh, yeah, you could use Stalin maybe.
Well, but you get my point. In other words,
right.
This is not...
Yeah, degeneration of the ideal.
You see, our picture of evolution is based on nature, where it's generally from lower forms of life to higher forms of life.
Right.
But in politics, it's the other way around. It's from higher form. Well, look, you take the religion of Jesus to the religion of Pope Benedict XVI, okay, who wants to make Pope Pius XII, Hitler's Pope, into a saint.
Right.
Hitler's Pope.
Yeah.
Mussolini's Pope. All right. So let's try that one. He was and he was Franco's Pope. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
But all this started off from Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Right.
See? Right. From Jesus to Benedict XVI.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this goes on and on in human life. Now, the real question is: are we doomed to this? To perpetual degeneration of great ideas, et cetera, or good, bad, or indifferent? They all degenerate.
What do you think? On a world scale, even cosmic scale, what do you think?
would argue this: that among the more intelligent things that Madison said, okay, was look, if you have elections and ignorant people, you're going to have, it's a prelude to either a tragedy or a farce or both. All right? And a lot of human history is exactly that in America, is that, if you look at the educational level and the knowledge level of the American people,
Mencken said it, didn't he?
All right, okay. I mean, you know, but the point is that Madison said it when they were deciding whether or not to give the vote to poor whites, poor white men.
Right.
All right. Look, the country's going to fill up with ignorant people. What's going to happen? All right. You know, I mean, he was a serious person. He's asking. You know?
Yeah.
All right, but we have one advantage that they did not have.
We here in this historic era.
This specific era. I was born in 1937, so the first census after my birth was 1940. In that census, only 4% of Americans had a bachelor's degree. Okay, most of them were white, et cetera, et cetera.
In that year,
1940.
Okay.
Bachelor's degree.
1940, right,
All right? Today, at least 28% of whites have a bachelor's degree and 17% of blacks. Okay?
A bachelor's degree?
Bachelor's degree. All right. Now, and in fact, it's reached the point where even though people with college degrees are a minority of the public, the fact of the matter is that the rest of the public says that's where we all should go. In other words...
Into education?
Into education.
Yeah,
all right. I mean, that's no longer...
Yeah.
That's not challenged by anybody.
Well, I would, but I think the education...
Well, I mean, education could be
they're
bad.
Corrupting institutions
All right,
themselves.
but what I'm arguing is this, that we do have a literate population now, and we have the Internet.
Yeah, the Internet.
All right, now, look, the Internet gives us access to each other in a way that is unbelievable in the past. Let's put it this way.
Totally unprecedented.
Let me put it this way. The New York Times, a lot of people complain, you know, the capitalist media, they're keeping information from us. This is nonsense. I mean, today it's nonsense, never mind what it was in the past. Today, the New York Times complains, listen, the bloggers are out there, they're faster than us. I mean, we have only so many reporters. You know, there's a million guys, there's a million professors out there who are experts on every little point.
Right.
And we make the slightest mistake.
We never had to pay any attention to them in the past.
In the past.
But now we have to pay attention when something hits the fan.
They told me once, the Times told me, I sent them a letter. They've run
You send them lots of letters.
Well, but the point is they explained to me, look, we get 10,000 letters a year. We only run about 1,000. Now, that was back in the good old days. Today they get around 100,000 letters a year, and they still only run maybe, you know, 5,000, something like that.
You have those figures straight? I mean, is that...
Oh, those are approximates, but you know...
within the ballpark.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a real problem.
I would have thought they might have had Niagara
Now,
letters
I mean, let me put it this way. My attitude is that if I were running a newspaper, what I would do is turn it on, like the Times, you know, that wants to be the focus center of the media.
Of the record.
What I would do is say, hey, send in your letters, and if you're the expert and you're sitting there out in Thailand, you know, or you're out there in wherever land, you know, we don't need a correspondent. You're the correspondent.
Free.
You see what I'm saying?
Free of any cost,
But the point is, what's literally happening is that at this particular point, newspapers are going out of business.
I think so, yeah.
Well, they are. I mean, you know, one after the other, and they're giving up this and they're changing that, trying to keep up.
It's all multimedia internet.
But what I'm saying is that let me put it this way. I'm making the proposal to some professor friends of mine that look, I'm anti-Zionist.
Yeah,
okay?
I know.
All right. I say we set up a website where serious scholars debate Zionism. Zionists and anti-Zionists debate, anti-Zionists debate each other, etc., etc. Most educated people have an attitude now that they'll learn more from a debate between two sides than they'll learn from hearing only one side alone. Now, whether that's true or not, that's the level of where the educated public mind is at. I mean, I don't make that up, you see.
No.
So my attitude is that if we provide a website where right now in the United States people don't know anything, the average American doesn't know anything about the Middle East. I mean, it's the other side of the world.
Yeah, but...
So if we can tell them everything from what's the difference between a Sunnah and a Shia, okay, among the Muslims, and what's the difference between what's a Maronite Christian in Lebanon.
Yeah.
What's an Orthodox Jew? It's you know, what does Hamas say about this? What does, you know, all of them? People will come and look at us, at our website, to get, as long as they feel that we are honestly and intelligently discussing what's going on.
How do you identify the voices that are honest and intelligent?
Well, you have to be.
You know, somebody has to moderate.
Yeah, you have to have a moderator. Now, my attitude is this. Let me give you an example, okay, of what I would not have, what I would have, and what I would not have. Okay, one of my lines is, "I know who killed Kennedy. I killed Kennedy." And I did it, and I got away with it because I did it with my little bow and arrow, and everybody's still looking for the smoking gun.
I don't follow. I'm sorry.
I killed Kennedy.
Okay.
I got away with it because I did it with my little bow and arrow.
What's the little bow and arrow metaphor for?
Because everybody's looking for the smoking gun.
Okay, I'm trying to follow.
In other words, I'm joking.
Oh, you're making a joke. Yeah, right.
I'm joking that I got away with it because everybody is looking for the smoking gun, who killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
But I didn't use a smoking gun. Yes, no sense. You know, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, this man has no sense of humor.
I do too. I have a good sense of humor.
He lies.
I can't. You're making a joke.
A joke.
No, I was serious. How are you going
to? Because look, what I tell
separate
people,
the wheat from
what
the
I tell
chaff.
people is this: look, everybody's worried that really the Warren Commission lied. Okay, but what they don't talk about is not who killed Kennedy, but who did Kennedy kill?
Yeah.
Remember, he invaded Cuba at the Bay of Pigs.
I'm here.
Okay? Remember that Kennedy wiretapped Martin Luther King. Okay? Now,
That wasn't Hoover doing it on his own.
Oh, no. It was the Kennedy brothers. Both signed the papers.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, Hoover did a lot of things on his own.
He did.
Yeah. But no. Oh, no. This was signed. Attorney General Bobby Kennedy, or it was all done by the Kennedy brothers, because they were convinced that he was working with an ex-communist named I think Berenson. Don't hold me to the name, and who was helping him write his speeches, etc. All right. Now, and then they were listening, and they wiretapped his hotel rooms and so on. Now, my point is this: you can't be for Martin Luther King and the Kennedy brothers who wiretapped Martin Luther King. You can't be for both. That's like being for Jesus and the brave men of the Roman legion who were only doing their duty when they were nailing him to the cross. You get my point? You can't be for both.
Yeah.
One or the other. Okay? It's called trying to run with the fox and hunt with the hounds. You can't do it. You are one or the other. Okay? So when Obama gets up and says,
get back to Obama.
Yeah, I am the first black president of the United States, and I will do for the United States what Roosevelt and Kennedy did for the United States, I say, excuse me? You will do what Roosevelt, who put all the innocent Japanese on the West Coast, including babies, into concentration camps? And you will wiretap Martin Luther King? Well, now, Mr. Obama, who will you wiretap, and who will you put in concentration camps?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go back and put the Japanese in concentration camps again, Mr. Obama. Who will you do?
Or responsibility for things that go wrong in history and all of that, like Mr. McNamara finally said that in the case of Vietnam, fault has to lay with us in a very real sense. We had a false notion of a nationalist movement being something to do with international communism and Kennan and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know exactly what the final number is that were dead as a result of that incursion, but there are figures as high as 4 million. As high as 4 million.
I was lucky.
And nobody ever, and Mr. McNamara said, we made a mistake.
Let me put it this way.
And no one, you'll notice, ever went in the dock for those, if there were 4 million that were resulting dead from that mistake by these politically, responsible people, that's a history because the winners write the history.
Well, no, I'll tell you, no. In fact, the winners don't write the history.
They don't? No?
No.
Okay.
I mean, history is written by
the victors.
No, by smart people and stupid people, all right? But the fact of the matter is that in the case of Vietnam, after the Vietnam War, the staff at the Army's War College at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, when you go to West Point, when you graduate from West Point, you're only a lieutenant. Okay. When they take you seriously and think you might be a general, they send you to Leavenworth.
General's a whole other thing. Yeah.
They sat down, and I read this years later, and said, "Look, we are professional soldiers. If we claim to be professional soldiers, we have to explain why we lost that war. Otherwise, we ain't professional soldiers.
The only one we've ever openly lost.
All right, but I'm saying that...
Hanging on the helicopter.
All right, but what I'm saying is that they said we have to figure out why, otherwise we are not professional soldiers.
Have they figured it out yet?
Yes, they figured it out.
And why did we lose the war?
Okay.
We didn't drop the big bomb?
No, shut up and learn. Okay?
Yeah.
They figured out, these are the staff guys there, they lost the war because they had neglected what they had been taught at West Point. One specific thing they had been taught at West Point, they had all read Karl von Clausewitz's on war, book on war, right? And his central thesis is war is nothing but the continuation of politics by other means, not diplomacy.
Not diplomacy. Okay.
Politics by other means.
Okay.
General term. All right. And they decided, the staff guys at Leavenworth, that they lost the war because they took over the South Vietnamese leftover French colonial regime.
54,
and therefore, in everybody's mind in Indochina, we were the continuation of the colonialism whose time was over. We could not have won no matter what.
So we shouldn't have gone in.
Well, that's what they decided, and they made it. They went further. These are the staff guys there.
Yeah.
They said, look, from here on in, you guys, you civilian guys, you don't be sending us into no war zone where you don't have a political solution to start out with.
And an exit strategy.
No.
Okay.
No. In other words, you have a political solution to start out, or you don't send us in.
That would be good.
We don't want an exit strategy when you don't have a solution.
Well, we had...
So listen, I'm trying to tell you what these guys are saying, all right? So the result is that in the 80s, you had a period where the military were the pacifists in the American government, and it was the civilians, the Reagan people, who were the sock the commies guys. But then finally what happened was that Colin Powell came along, and he said, look, you guys are right. War is nothing but the continuation of politics. I mean, you're right. But if we get into a war where we hit the enemy fast enough and quick enough and get out of there
overwhelming force,
fast and quick enough, it'll happen. The victory will happen before the anti-war movement develops.
Engage together, yeah.
Okay? So that's why he beat Saddam, he drove Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, but he didn't go chasing after him in Iraq because he realized if I go chasing him, I'll never get out, and the anti-war movement will develop, and all the political consequences will come from it.
And Bush Sr. saw that consequence.
All right. But apparently, and here I can only speculate because young Bush does not give me a phone call to let me know what's going on in his head.
He's part of that Mencken America.
All right, but what I'm saying is that he just somehow felt that, my father, he did a good job, but he didn't drive that godless Saddam Hussein out of there, and I'm going to go in there and kick some butt, and on and on. Now,
do you think cheerleader Bush, Sr., you know, our recent president, who's still president until a few more days,
yes.
Was captured, if that's the right term, by what was called the lunatic fringe of what's called the neocons, Paul Wolfowitz and that kind of thing, in his ideology, and was led by them? And what connection do you think there is between the neocons, which have been running the show pretty much in these last few years, and I don't want to say Likudnik, but the hardcore right-wing Zionism that seems to be manifesting itself, perhaps, in world opinion, and in fact, now, what role and connection is there between the neocon vision and the Zionist division,
I would say
since
this.
that's Al-Quran?
Okay.
And how does Mr. Obama line up with that?
No, let me just stick to Bush, because it's one at a time.
Okay, well, you could just
bring
it up
one
to
at a time,
Obama after.
Please. Okay. There's a theory, a notion in serious historiography called overdetermination.
Okay, yeah.
Which is that
it's the same in geography.
Please.
Okay.
That many events, it looks like there's one explanation, but the reality is that two or three come together to make it up.
Right.
Now, for example, when 9/11 happened, Bush got up and made a speech about the crusade against terrorism. All right.
Yes.
All right. Now, understand the argument as to who got us into all this trouble in the Middle East, whether it was the oil industry or whether it was the Zionists, etc. I argue that neither the oil industry nor the Zionists told Bush, you say crusade. You get my point?
That was just dumb ignorance.
No, that was his...
An ahistorical
That was
status in
his
the world.
stupidity coming out of his Jesus freaking, et cetera, et cetera. In other words, that you can't blame that on either the oil industry or the Zionists.
Right.
See, that's my point. Okay. So I would say this, that the essentially speaking, there's an old saying, birds of a feather flock together. What Bush represents is, remember, that it was under the Republican Party, that godless atheistic communism was destroyed once and for all.
That's right. They got that.
So, but now the point is that they did it with a heavy emphasis on militarism and covert action, et cetera, et cetera. I mean,
Star Wars.
All right. Yeah, everything. Okay. Now, the only other force in American politics that really has that heavy commitment to violence as its solution to things is the right wing of Zionism, because they have no other answer to, I mean, they're the colonialists. They took over the country, now took over Palestine, and now the Palestinians want their share of it.
Does that reside more in Likud than Labor, or are they both in
well,
it, or how does that fit down? Because we've got an election next month.
Let me put it this way. First off, the present regime is a branch, Likud and the present Olmert's party, Kadima, is a split off from Likud. Okay, it comes out of what's called the Zionist revisionist tradition.
Jabotinsky.
Vladimir Jabotinsky. Okay. When you're talking about labor Zionism is a long discredited ideology. It was back in the old days when they started out, they tried to combine Zionism and socialism, all right? Nobody believes they're socialists today. They get their money from capitalists, they get their support from Wall Street. I mean, they long ago, socialism, us? Oh yeah, we long time ago. You know, I mean.
The kibbutz.
All right, but I'm saying today a kibbutz is a business. Okay? So what I'm trying to get at is that if you ask me who was the Zionist who comes closest to describing what Zionism actually was, and will be, It was Jabotinsky, and what he simply said is, look, we're a colonizing movement.
Yeah, say it right up front, yeah.
I mean, you know, on the T-shirt, I mean, I can...
Yeah, let's show that book. Talk to the
book.
Oh,
well, no, I don't want to wave the book. I want to wave the...
But I want to wave the book.
No. Yeah. I want to get right to the
chapter
the quotes.
and verse.
Yeah, this is Vladimir Jabotinsky, The Iron Wall, We and the Arabs, written in 1923. Every reader has some idea of the early history of other countries which have been settled. I suggest that he recall all known instances. If he should attempt to seek but one instance of a country settled with the consent of those born there, he will not succeed. The inhabitants, no matter whether they are civilized or savages, always put up a stubborn fight. Colonization itself has its own explanation, integral and inescapable, and understood by every Arab and every Jew with his wits about him. Colonization can only have one goal. For the Palestinian Arabs, this goal is inadmissible. This is in the nature of things. To change that nature is impossible. Okay?
You could read American Indians.
Yeah, I mean, what in fact his argument was, look,
most of the people of the world, for
guys,
that matter.
I mean, you know, we're no different. I mean,
might makes right.
I mean, the Puritans were wonderful, saintly, holy people, but the Indians, they fought. I mean, it's because natives always fight foreigners who come in to try to conquer their country.
Yeah, they'll fight back. They will.
Yeah, well, I mean, but understand, this isn't Lenni Brenner anti-Zionist saying this is Vladimir Jabotinsky Zionist saying
this. Right, all right.
So, I mean,
and the book is 51 documents.
Well, the book is called 51
Yeah,
Documents.
let me show it, damn it. Here, Lenny. Let people know that one, too. This is another one. He's an editor of this book. Come in on it, Willie, if you can. And this is a book documenting the collaboration of the Zionists with Nazis.
Right.
And is documented chapter and verse in this book.
Well, when I say document...
Wait a minute, they haven't seen it. You got to let them see the book, Lenny.
We're very informal here.
This would be in the stores, and also I guess it's going to be, it's available on AOL.
It's in your library.
It's in your library, okay.
But let's put it this way.
Yeah, this is another of the books.
Yeah, let's put it this way.
Zionism in the Age of the Dictators, another.
Now this... The document I just quoted, The Iron Wall, was actually written years before Hitler came to power.
Yes,
this
indeed.
is 1923.
10 years. Yeah.
You see, it's called 51 Documents because the 51 documents that the title refers to are 51 documents from the time Hitler came to power on.
I see.
But I also have 6 prior documents in there which give the background before Hitler came to power of what Zionists were saying about anti-Semites and imperialists, etc.
Gotcha. Let's try and bring back. We began talking about Obama in 2008. He's going to be our president a couple of weeks after to see this program. What is going to be his attitude? What do we glean from his attitude, from his speeches and so forth? And what's going to happen in the election in February? Is there a chance that we'll have Mr. Netanyahu back in charge? Is there a chance there'll be a full-fledged takeover of Likudnik right-wing kind of only good engines, a dead engine, as they used to say on the frontier, that kind of thing.
Well, let's one question at a time. With regards to elections, I never predict elections. Okay. But with regards to Obama, I can tell you that he clearly, by his choice of who he's picking for all different posts all over the place, is attempting to maintain the strongholds of American imperialism. To give you the best illustration, he is for closing down the prison in Guantanamo Bay, but he is not for closing down Guantanamo Bay.
Okay.
All right.
What's okay?
Well, let me put it this way: Guantanamo Bay is the American Gibraltar.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
It's in other words, it was. We are there because wonderful Roosevelt forced the Cuban government of 1934 to sign a treaty saying you can have this base for 99 years. All you got to do is pay us 1,000 pesos. Don't hold me to the thing, all right? And the United States now says to Castro, okay, like it said to the previous government, to Batista, go to hell. We run Guantanamo Bay. Now, I say that this is the equivalent of America's Gibraltar.
Well, we got about 850 military bases around the world in
All
about
right,
130
but what I'm saying,
countries.
but wait.
Yeah.
I want to focus on
Okay,
Guantanamo
okay.
Bay.
All right, if you want.
Because the United States has bases in Britain, but if Britain says close the base, the United States gets out of there.
Interesting, yeah.
All right, because that's a modern treaty. That's
Yeah.
not. That's a treaty between allies.
Yeah.
This is a treaty of an imperialist overlord with a government, 1934, the Batista regime in Cuba, which was a puppet government of the United States. Okay,
which a lot of governments around the world are.
All right, but what I'm
arguing
arguing is that I'm simply pointing out that number one, Obama hasn't said word one about closing that base, and he is very, get this, if Cuba gets allows more democracy, then we'll get rid of the embargo. Get it? The country that is torturing people in Guantanamo Bay is lecturing Cuba.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're lecturing.
That's Obama is lecturing Castro.
Right.
Okay.
And
understand that Cuba has the best educational system in the world.
You think that? Really?
Well, I'll qualify it. It has a better system than America. It has a higher percentage of kids graduating high school than America. That was in the New York Times 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Well, I'm not sure what
Okay. I mean, in other words, 92% of all Cuban kids graduate from high school.
That's interesting.
They're famous now for exporting doctors all over the world.
They got medical, they
all
really
right, but
do,
I mean, I'm saying, in other words, the New York Times had an article in which they were saying, look, I mean, we got to change. We got to have some changes in Cuban policy.
You would think,
and they admitted these two things, that Cuba has a better educational system than the United States. It's unbelievable. I mean,
I mean, fathom and dimensions. Yeah,
I mean, in other words,
this talking higher education and all
that.
Well,
I mean,
it's a kind of an issue. I wonder if we could, if Mr. Obama, he's coming in, and like we say, a couple of weeks after this program airs and everything. But it's like the United States is still in the mode of lecturing the world about their possession, our possession, and our running dog allies, as Marxists would call them, and so forth, or sycophant states around the world. They have a system that is in march with history. We have the pattern that is, in the historical sense, legitimate for the world. We made a few little mistakes and so forth, but they're still taking that attitude toward it, even in the face of this having been hit upside the head like a Missouri mule with a 2x4 on the economic issue. And do you think there's any chance about that assumption of their historical legitimacy they've been trying to impose, neo-colonialism, neoliberalism, neo-conservatism, whatever it is maybe up for grabs on a large historic
let me put it to you this way.
sense,
I would
that
say
they're not going to be able to take that attitude toward the world and get away with it.
A lot of people had illusions about Obama. They thought that what they were doing was trying to get rid of Bush. And Bushism, okay? All right. The analogy, historical analogy, is to Russia. In other words, in 1917 you had a revolt against the Tsar and his wicked war. But who took over? A guy named Alexander Kerensky. The only problem with that was that Alexander Kerensky wanted to continue the war. And the result was, a few months after Kerensky came in, he got kicked out by a guy named Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. All right? Now, I'm arguing not months, but no analogy is identical in history. You know that.
Of course,
right, okay.
Of course.
I'm arguing that Obama, that Bush is our wicked Tsar Nicholas, who got into a war.
I see.
He lost the war.
It wasn't Mr. Reagan. Huh?
All right. He lost the war, and Obama is the Alexander Kerensky. Everybody, oh boy, we got rid of the Tsar. But all of a sudden,
okay now.
Once they got rid of the Tsar,
but they're still stuck with the basic premises that are out of date with what the future requires.
That's what I'm trying to argue.
Okay,
in other words, that Obama has made it very clear, like his speeches in Israel, like his talk about Iran, like his talk about Cuba, etc., that he intends to maintain as much as possible of the American empire, even in the middle of a world economic crisis.
Exactly right.
Well,
which could undercut the legitimacy.
Now, wait, never mind legitimacy. At this particular point...
Well, I mean historical legitimacy.
Let me put it to you this way. At this particular point, you've got a guy from Blagojevich land,
yes,
okay,
the land of Blagojevich.
Trying to handle...
That sounds like a Marx Brothers
Blagojevich
yeah,
land.
Right.
I love that.
Or Mel Brooks. Yeah.
Blagojevich land. Worrying about this guy who made off with all the money.
Made off with all the money.
Right.
Yeah, that's no serious matter. Is that going to undercut AIPAC's stability? Because he hit a lot of the people that give that money to AIPAC.
The Zionist newspapers are all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Madoff set off an atom bomb in the middle of Zionist philanthropy.
It inordinately hit the Jewish community.
Well, I mean, let me put it this way.
Including the supporters of AIPAC.
The argument they argue, the argument that they have against the idea that Madoff is part of a Jewish conspiracy against Gentiles is that this guy. But you see, I'll tell you something. People can't understand that. People can't understand that. How come he robbed his own people? Except that why did Blagojevich offer to take bribes on the telephone when he knew he was being indicted?
He was just telling that he was just using fiery language to describe what happens all the time.
What I'm saying is, at the same time in America, we have two caricatures of the corrupt businessman, more corrupt than most, and a caricature, and the corrupt politician at the same time. All right? Now, but the point is that Obama endorsed Blagojevich and bought land around his house from Resco, the crook. Okay? Now, every newspaper in America has already said, and they're going to keep saying this, we're going to hear about Obama, Blagojevich, and Resco as long as Obama, Blagojevich, and Resco live.
Sounds like a legal team.
It's right. I mean, but let me put it this way: with all these,
firm,
when you got, as a patriotic white Protestant American, Blagojevich, a Serbian, Madoff, a Jew, Obama, what's his name?
What is he?
I mean, but let me put it this way. The fact is, I mean, it sounds like a caricature, except that what you have is a criminal president, Bush, about to be replaced by a criminal president. Here, the last parting shot from Lenni Brenner, all right?
It's not last. We got 10 minutes yet to go. So
but I'm saying...
Keep it to the end, Lenni.
All right.
No, you got to do it now. Do it now, Lenni. Do it now. Be here now,
Lenni. Obama is the last of the great black Moses. No. He's the first of the black pharaohs.
Oh, okay.
So you got that, everybody?
Well, okay, I don't quite get all the implications. But I'm a little bit...
Let me put it this way. No, I'm serious.
Go on,
Look,
go on.
If America is an empire...
Well, I would say it is, wouldn't you?
Well, then he's taken over the empire, so he's the pharaoh. Okay?
Well, pharaoh and an empire, okay. I would have said emperor,
Let's go
pharaoh,
further.
Yeah.
Let's go further.
The Egyptian empire?
Let's
Do
go
we
further.
talk about the Egyptian empire?
Wait.
We don't. We talk Rome.
No, pharaohs are Egyptian empire.
Yeah, but we didn't think...
But wait.
It's a
Let's
sidebar.
go further.
It's a sidebar.
Let's go further.
Okay, go
See,
further.
everybody... Blacks in the United States are the most religious group, more so even than whites.
Right, I think that's true, yeah.
All right. So now, and Obama's talking about Martin Luther King, and everybody going, oh, Black Moses there, okay. What most blacks don't know, although the black intellectuals, of course, all do, is, of course, that the pharaohs, the last pharaoh of Egypt...
Nubians.
Were Nubians.
Yeah,
they were for sure. I mean,
yeah,
black as anybody in Harlem.
Right? Black Athena? Or
now understand. Wait. But let's go further. Let's go further. if you read Herodotus, he says that the pharaohs of his day were black. Okay, and this was before the black pharaoh, the Nubian pharaohs. In other words, I would say that the classic pharaohs were sort of like Indians, meaning Inja Indians. Okay, but the last pharaohs were from Nubia. See, the way the Egyptian empire evolved, was that some dynasty would take over as, the pharaohs, and they would become decadent. Okay,
power
organized.
Does tend to corrupt, it would seem.
Well, nice, let's have another drink, that kind of stuff. All right. So what happens is
and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Well, but what happens is that the border guards, they ultimately represent the purity of the empire, and they knock over the decadent dynasty. So what you had in
history,
in literally, what
that's
you
history.
Had in Egypt was first you had the Libyan border guards taking over from the traditional pharaohs, and then finally the Nubian border guards took over from the Libyan border guards. See, this is a common event. The Romans, for example, all right, there are these barbarian Germans out there. Well, listen, if you hire a few of the barbarian Germans, so that's the way.
And it held for a long time.
Yeah. I'm saying, in other words, same old.
Yeah.
Okay. But what I'm getting at is that Obama has made it very clear. His choices. Picking the
Hillary.
Picking first the Secretary of Defense of George Bush. For his Secretary of Defense. Okay. And
Raul Emanuel.
Okay. And then picking Hillary, and then Emanuel. Understand now? Emanuel's catching a lot of
keeping the guy at defense, right?
Huh?
Or keeping the guy at
defense. I'm saying. Keeping. Let me put it this way.
Well, he wasn't Rumsfeld, but he. Okay, go on.
He's the general in charge. He's the guy in charge of the law. And he'll tell you he is.
Yeah, and that's the thing that bothers me very much about it, because if you've got this thing going, if you're going to have a Likud, if you're going to have an all-out kind of thing that could emerge out of what's just happening in Gaza now and that sort of thing. And then you got the ire of the world. And then Obama is talking about sending a whole bunch of troops into Afghanistan and Pakistan. That's very worrying.
Let me.
Wouldn't you say, in terms of
it isn't the case of whether I say. Let me.
Because there's a resurgence of Islam, perhaps. So I was just bringing that up in terms of something to think about on the eve of his inauguration. I just want to point something
out to you, all right, so you understand.
He's got an idea fixe or something.
Obama says on the T-shirt, I used to smoke crack cocaine. I used to smoke cocaine, or snort cocaine, excuse me. All right. So we're going to have a president of the United States.
He's a druggie.
Who's an ex-druggie.
Ex-druggie.
Okay.
Smoked cigarettes, even.
Who is going to try to take over Afghanistan and win that war?
Yeah.
And 92% of all the heroin in the world comes from there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And the cocaine comes from Colombia.
Meanwhile, there's still a war going on, a drug war going on in Colombia, and 5,000 plus Mexicans have been killed this year in fights between either drug lords or drug lords and the government. Okay? And now, it's virtually a civil war on our border, okay, over, guess what? The American drug market.
Yeah, it's huge.
Now, hold
huge,
on. You get my point. In other words, 5,000 people have died in Mexico.
I didn't know that high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you get your facts right.
Oh, I mean, believe me, I clip everything out of the papers on drugs, everything. All right?
You do. You really follow that carefully. It's a real another thing.
Well, I was sentenced to prison for 1 to 10 years in the 60s for possession of marijuana, and I did 39 months. So
39 months, that's a lot.
Wait. But what I'm saying is, as a result, is that I've become a specialist in narcotics and the history of narcotics and on and on.
Not to mention education within the joint.
Everything connected with narcotics.
Who you met?
What I'm arguing, please, what I'm trying to say is right now, 5,000 people have died on our borders.
Okay, I didn't know that, yeah.
All right,
yeah.
but I do,
Thanks.
and I'm passing this on.
Right,
all right,
okay.
Now, my point is, we're going to have the ultimate hypocrite, okay? The kids out there right now in America, one of them, 10 of them, 100,000 of them are all going to say the same thing. If the President of the United States snorted cocaine,
why the hell can't I?
Why can't I?
Yeah.
And what is the answer?
It got him to the White House. Maybe
well,
I could
I
get
have
there.
an answer to that. Ladies and gentlemen, kids out there, don't you snort cocaine, because if you snort cocaine, look what happened to Obama. It destroyed every one of his brain cells, and none of them grew back. Now, you can say that, or you can say this. Look, you got Obama. Patterson, the governor of New York, used to snort cocaine, and you got pot-smoking Bloomberg, mayor of New York, okay?
Bloomberg smokes pot?
Oh, yeah, and enjoyed it.
Currently? Or did?
Yeah, well, do they use it now? Gracious, no. But the point is they all jail people for what they used to do, okay? Now, the only ones stupider than them are the pot smokers and coke users who voted for them. Because, you see, remember in the Bible it says that Moses went up on the mountain and God gave him the 10 Commandments, and he came down and the Jews were dancing around the golden calf. So he got angry and he tossed the rocks, the tablets down and destroyed them.
Is that what happened?
Oh, yeah, and he had to go back up and get them again.
I just remember Mel Brooks had 15
Well, wait.
He broke one of them and had 10.
You know, every so often they go up on Mount Sinai and they discover the original 11 commandments.
11? What's the 11th then?
No, it was the first commandment. The other 10 came after the first.
Oh, I see.
Thou shalt never vote for thy jailer.
Oh, okay, right.
You get it?
Well, that would mean you can't vote for it, because the world, in a certain sense, compared to the future, is a big jail.
No. If you want to generalize, that's your business. But I'm saying this. If you smoke pot and you vote for any politician who jails you for smoking pot, you have violated the first commandment. Thou shalt never vote for the people that are banging you on the head.
Okay, that's good.
You get the image?
Yeah, and on top of all of that, with the thing about him coming in is he doesn't yet have, or does he? He's, maybe we've avoided a terrible deflationary depression that would be horrible. He's shored up the credit industry, probably a good thing he has. Maybe we've avoided it. But he doesn't have the makings of a realistic economic policy or the underpinnings of that. He's still depending upon, if I would, the same old tried and true, out-of-date labor theory of value to inform the means by which our economy is going to be organized. So he doesn't have that right either.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I do know
economic policy. He doesn't have.
Obama picked the head of the New York Federal Reserve as his secretary.
Right.
All right? Now,
which is, the thing is, the credits are up, Lenny.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're going to have to say goodbye.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
M-I-C-K-Y, Lenny, there to you. Okay.